What's cracking, guys? This is Bruce Matson, your host of the show of Metric Scout Fantasy Football. A few days ago, I dropped my rookie wide receiver ranks for the 2022 NFL Draft class. You can find those in the archives, but it's time. It is time to talk about them running backs, give you an idea of who to look out for your rookie drafts here in the near future, and to get you prepped for the NFL draft. Right now, we're just doing a soft overview of these players, and I guarantee the rankings are going to change between now and draft time, so you want to stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing, because we're going to be covering these players off and on, constantly throughout the draft season, and I'm going to get you ready for your rookie drafts when it comes time. But right now, let's dig into these rankings. And the first thing I want to preface is the first three running backs I'm going to talk about, they're pretty much in the same tier. And I know between now and the end of draft season, I'm going to be flip-flopping these guys back and forth one way or another, off and on, often between now and the draft, because these guys are pretty close to each other when it comes to talent. I can't sit here and tell you one guy is better than the other right now. Want a few more data points? I'm going to go over more tape. I've watched all these guys play immensely throughout the season. I think they're all good. I like all three of them. But I wanted to preface this because I didn't want you to come away from these rankings thinking, oh, this guy's number one. Bruce is locked in on him. I'm not locked in on this top five as of yet. Also, the bottom two, that could get switched out as well as we comb through these players a little more. But right now, this is just the baseline. This is what we have right now to go off of, and expect changes going forward. Don't think I'm wishy-washy. Just use me as your source for the information on these players, and use that to help you make your decisions. But the first player, the first running back I got in my rankings as of right now is Isaiah Spiller, running back from Texas A&M. He's 6'1", 215 pounds. That's what it's listed at. This year's rushed for 1,016 yards, 6 touchdowns. Even though he shared the backfield, he was still productive. He averaged 3.63 yards after contact per attempt. He had 647 yards after contact. He forced 56 missed tackles. He had 31 carries of 10-plus yards, 18 carries of 15-plus yards. And overall, through the course of his career at Texas A&M, he rushed for 2,993 yards, 25 touchdowns. He caught 74 balls for 585 yards and 1 touchdown, so he was using the passing game. And what I liked about him this year is he was used in the passing game even more. He stepped it up in his receiving production, and then also in his game as a runner, he displayed more burst, more speed, more wiggle. I saw vast improvements out of him between last year and this year. I just think he was a more fluid runner. I think he had more burst and space. And I can't wait to go over the film with you guys on these film studies covering how he plays the game, because I think with his size, his ability to run between the tackles, the little bit of wiggle he's got, his ability to catch the ball in the backfield, I really think he can be a true feature back at the next level. The next running back off my list, my second running back off the board, is Breece Hall from Iowa State. Again, another solid running back prospect, 6'1", 220 pounds. He's a thick dude. This year rushed for 1,460 yards and 20 touchdowns. He had 2.83 yards after contact per attempt, 713 yards after contact. He forced 74 missed tackles. He had 36 runs of 10 yards or more, 22 runs of 15 yards or more. Over the course of his career, he was very productive, had 3,941 rushing yards and 50 touchdowns, also caught 82 balls, 734 yards, and 6 touchdowns. What I like about Breece Hall is he'll run through faces. He is aggressive. He is powerful at the point of contact. He's a no-nonsense runner, decent approach towards the line of scrimmage, and has been productive from year one at Iowa State until his final snap. And that is the running back that you want to be interested in when it comes to picking running backs for your Dynasty fantasy football team. Again, this is another running back I'm excited to go over the tape with you guys on these film studies when we do this here in the next few weeks. My third running back off the board, and also he is in this tier, so he's mixed in with the other two that we just talked about. So don't think he's little old 3 here. He's a solid prospect, and that's Kenneth Walker from Michigan State. One of my favorite running backs in college football. I think he's very fun to watch. He's listed at 5'10", 210 pounds. Ran for 1,634 yards and 18 touchdowns. There was Heisman talks with this guy. He came from Wake Forest. At Wake Forest, he wasn't bad. Last year, rushed for 579 yards, 13 touchdowns. Very productive season there. So technically, he broke out with 2 programs, which is something rare. You don't see that much, and you don't see that too often. You're going to see that a little bit more with the transfer portal. But this year, he had 4.46 yards after contact per attempt, 1,168 yards after contact. He forced 89 missed tackles. He had 46 carries of 10-plus yards, 30 carries of 15-plus yards. What I like about him is his approach to the line of scrimmage. He is a very patient runner. He likes to set up the linebacker before he hits his hole, and he just has a good awareness and a good feel of the momentum of all the players around him when he's making his move. I like watching him in space. I like watching him find the crease when he's approaching to the line of scrimmage. And out of all these running backs, he's probably the most technical when it comes to reading his blocks, finding the hole, and just being overall patient. Kenneth Walker is going to get the draft capital that we want from a running back. The fourth running back off the board, and this one might be a reach to some, this might be dead on to others, and really this could be switched out within a few weeks, few months, and I expect these rankings to change. But right now at 4, I got Zach Charbonnet at UCLA, formerly from Michigan. He's 6'1", 220 pounds, and he had a good season this year. He rushed for 1,137 yards and 13 touchdowns. He had 11 touchdowns during his freshman year at Michigan, so technically, kinda broke up with 2 programs. The yardage wasn't really there at Michigan, but Michigan's a hard school to break out at, so you kind of understand with that. Like everyone else, though, he had a rough 2020. It didn't go well with him over at Michigan then, so he had to hit that transfer portal. Now he went to UCLA, had a banger of a season, and now it's time to see what he can do in the draft. This season, he had 3.5 yards after contact per attempt, 714 yards after contact in total, 31 carries of 10-plus yards, 18 carries of 15-plus yards. Draft capital is going to matter for him. It is going to be huge for them because there's a chance he gets drafted in the top 100. There's a chance he can get drafted in the second round. There's a chance he nosedives. We don't know. We don't know, and draft capital is a main driver for a running back's value in Dynasty fantasy football, especially for rookie drafts, and I don't have a good gauge on it. I try to guess a little bit. You can kind of get a good feel. I get a good feel on Kenneth Walker. I got a good feel on Breece Hall. I got a good feel on Isaiah Spiller. I know they're not going to fall out of the second round. I know that definitely not third round. Like, we know they're getting good draft capital. We know this. Zach Charbonnet is a high-end recruit out of high school, 4-star guy, could lay the boom at the point of contact, had an impressive highlight tape coming out of high school, went to Michigan, decent freshman year, double-digit touchdowns as I covered there, but he had to transfer. We got 1 year of 1,000-yard production out of him. He's a wild card right now. And the combine's going to matter for him too because he's not the fastest guy on the field. He's not the burstiest guy. And I really want to see where he measures at. And I imagine the combine's going to matter for him personally as well because that's going to fuel some of his draft capital as well. But really, I'm on the lookout for Zach Charbonnet. Again, a big physical back who can run between the tackles. And he is also fun to watch because he can definitely lay the boom at the point of contact, and he's very athletic for his size. He does have some decent size adjusted speed. He's just not a speedster. Speaking of speedster, The next running back I'm talking about does have a little bit of wiggle in the open field. My 5th running back is Kyren Williams from Notre Dame. He's listed at 5'9", 198 pounds. This year, rushed for 995 yards, 14 touchdowns, had 3.71 yards after contact per attempt, 757 yards after contact in total. And he caught 42 balls for 359 yards on the season, so he can be used in the passing game. What I see out of him is burst in the open field, a guy that can house it whenever he touches the ball, and he's a back that I can see being used in the passing game for his NFL team because he can catch the ball in the backfield. If he gets the ball in the flat, he has the potential to eat up some yards. Like Zach Charbonnet, draft capital is going to matter. I don't have a good key on where he's going to go. I feel like he's likely to be a top 100 pick, but I'm not for sure, so I'm not going to speculate on that. I think the combine's going to matter too because right now he's listed at 198 pounds. I really want him to weigh in a little heavier, help his advanced metrics a little better, and that size-adjusted speed. Size-adjusted speed really matters for running backs. I kind of like a good speed score, a good burst score out of my running backs. I think we're going to get that out of Williams, though, from what we gather from tape. But I like that he's used in the passing game. I like that he's got a good yards after contact, and overall, he's a guy that can eat up chunks of yardage when he sees daylight in the open field. That's my top 5 running backs. Let me know what you think. Do you have another running back that you like? Is it Hassan Haskins? Let me know. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. It's right here, and I'll catch you next time.